Needed break after running for 2.5 hours through the streets of Baltimore, and he now enters the list of champions, the 14th champion of the Baltimore Marathon. You stay with us. We'll visit with the champion when we continue our live coverage here on CV11. Alex Wang now in the front of the women's marathon. We have crowned a champion in the men's race, Brian Rosenberg. Brian is joining us in just a moment to talk about his victory. Has caught his breath and now making his way up to our interview vantage point as we watch Alex Wang start to stride through the final few miles of the women's marathon. The weather conditions have been absolutely ideal, and our list of champions continues to roll in. Won the men's 5K. Megan DiGregorio from Baltimore won the women's 5K. Bruce Newman, a 68-year-old competitor, won the wheelchair division. And Brian Rosenberg, a 37-year-old accountant from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, is the men's champion in a personal best record time of 2 hours, 33 minutes and 27 seconds. And Brian Rosenberg joins us now to talk about his victory. Brian, first and foremost, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was a great day to be out there.
You took the lead from the defending champion at mile 12, and as you went past Dave Burdan, did you notice what we saw earlier, that he had a conspicuous limp in his stride?
Yes, I did. Dave's an acquaintance of mine, and I know his credentials very well, and he's a great runner. I could tell he wasn't on his A game when he was starting to come back, and we exchanged a few words when I went by, and I think he had said his hip was bothering him, so I could tell he wasn't 100% today, and that's too bad. He's a great runner.
I also did notice you could have, your paces were so different, you could have just blown by him, but you took the time to stop and speak to him. I'm curious what you talked about. You don't have to share it, but it does show something about this sport.
Sure, thank you.
It's a gentlemanly thing to do.
Sure. Nothing secret. I just said to him, I said, "Are you okay?" Because I was afraid he wasn't, and he had indicated his hip was bothering him. And I said, "Come on, let's do this together." And he said he didn't think he was able to. He was going to have to drop out. So I think he dropped out shortly after that, which was too bad. I know he was looking to have a great day today. And as I said, I know he's in great shape. Today just wasn't his day.
And Brian, from that point forward, it put you in a unique situation. You finished your third last year, so you're used to running near the front. But from mile 12 until the finish line, you ran out in front. How different of a sensation was that, not having anybody to chase, instead being the guy who everybody else was chasing?
Well, it's certainly more challenging that way. I just tried to focus on my pace, and at that point, I've done enough marathons to know the racing doesn't really start until past mile 20, and I've made the mistake several times of pushing the pace a little too early in the race, and last year, as a matter of fact, I had a very bad patch around mile 24 where I really struggled, had a 9-minute mile. And this year I said, okay, the pressure's on. I can't collapse like that in front of the camera. So I just tried to pace myself a little better. And really that last 10K is crucial in a marathon.
If we have it available, if we could show the race course map, I'd like to have Brian take us through the entire course to talk about the different challenges you faced.
Sure.
And that's because this is a unique course in that it starts with an uphill climb right out of the gate from the start until you hit Druid Hill Park. It's three straight miles uphill, and that's challenging to say the very least.
Yes, absolutely. The advantage of having the uphill that early in the race is your legs are still fresh. The tougher part of the course is that second half, because from an elevation standpoint, I think, just going from memory, the climbing from, say, 15 to 18 is not quite as steep as the first three, but it's at that point in the race where it's a much tougher part, where you've already got 15 miles on your legs.
And then talk to us about once you rounded Lake Montebello, it's not the hills you're dealing with, it's the wind, and I understand that was something you really had trouble with.
There was a little bit of a breeze up there, and really I think the weather does play a part, but for me at least, most of all, it's just the amount of miles. 26.2 is a challenge, whether it's a flat course, whether you're running uphill, whether you're running downhill. Here on this course, it's a challenging, but I think it's a fair course. It's not unusually slow. It's got its hills, and I think as long as you pace yourself by effort. I try not to get too stuck on hitting exactly the same pace every mile. On the uphill miles, I expect to be a little slower, and that's okay. And then downhill, I might be a little faster, but it's really just trying to keep the effort controlled.
Because you did struggle last year with mile 24. You mentioned you ran a 9-minute mile.
Struggling is a nice way to put it.
Right. At what point in today's race did you really feel like, I've got this?
Well, really, it was probably around 23 or 24. Even at mile 20, I told myself I thought I could push through the last 10K much better than I did last year. But really, each mile gets a little progressively harder from the standpoint of having more miles on your legs, but a little easier because you can sense that finish line. And once I got to about 24, I remembered where I really struggled last year, and I just mentally told myself, keep going past it, keep going. And really, it wasn't until I got into Camden Yards where I felt like, okay, I'm close enough to the finish that I can at least sense it and relax a little bit.
And we can't let you go without congratulating you. You set a new personal best today.
I did, yes.
By almost 30 seconds. I know you've been an Orioles fan since you were a kid. You think the Orioles magic propelled you a little bit?
Well, honestly, I'd like to have been here for a Game 7 tonight, but unfortunately, I was thrilled to see how quickly they got through the first part of the series, and then once they hit the Royals, it went downhill. So disappointing, but yeah, it's great to see them in the playoffs again. Was hoping for a World Series appearance, but maybe next year. There's always next year.
Marathon wins, good trade-off.
Most people will never experience running a marathon. But for someone like yourself who trains more than 100 miles a week in pure solitude, what did it feel like on that last 0.2 of a mile when the crowd greeted you as the man who was going to win this race? That's a moment you get to share with the crowd. What did that feel like from a competitor's perspective?
Oh, it's excellent. I mean, winning is great. I'm a competitive guy, so I enjoy winning. Certainly not an elite runner, and I think winning is great. Running a personal best is great, and with the marathon, even just finishing is great. I've had a couple marathons where I was close to dropping out just because I did great the first 20 miles and I hit that struggling spot in the 20 to 23 range. So really just finishing is great. We're going to have a lot of finishers today, and that's no small accomplishment.
Well, Brian, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
37-year-old Brian Rosenberg.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Your new Baltimore Marathon champion.
Our live coverage of the Baltimore Running Festival continues right here on TV 11. Brian Rosenberg wrestled the lead away from the defending champion Dave Verdant at mile 12, and then he took control of this race and crossed the finish line at a personal best record time of 2 hours, 33 minutes and 27 seconds to capture the victory in the 2014 Baltimore Marathon. Here's the top 3 finishers in today's race, a race that started before sunrise and brought Brian Rosenberg first to the finish line in a shade more than 2.5 hours. He was followed in second place by Stephen Olnick, 2 hours 42 minutes and 24 seconds, and the third place finisher Miles Aitken, 2 hours 45 minutes and 4 seconds. Rosenberg, Olnick, and Aitken, 1, 2, 3 here in the Baltimore Marathon. We're joined now by the man whose idea launched this race 14 years ago from Corrigan Sports Entertainment, Lee Corrigan. Lee, you've watched this race evolve from 6,000 runners 14 years ago into a true running festival today that incorporates kids right up to runners who are septuagenarians. Yeah. Is this really where you thought this race would wind up?
We're hoping, you know, and that was one of the ideas originally behind the whole running festival concept. We know that people that run 26.2 miles don't grow in trees, and so we thought if we add that half marathon, team relay, 5K, kids fun run, we could encompass the entire community and really engage everybody quickly.
I know you call the 5K, according to your guys, blew up this year.
Yeah.
4,500 people, way more than you anticipated, and you consider that, you call it a gateway race.
You got it. It's our training ground. That's where we hook them in. In fact, 83% of the people that participate in our 5K come back the next year and participate in one of the races.
And those are the two big races now, the 5K and then the half marathon. You've got almost 16,000 runners in those two. Will that change the nature of this event moving forward?
Well, no, I think, you know what, I think we have got such a nice reputation for the full marathon. Another part of the event that's very popular is that team relay. That team relay has sold out every single year, and we always try to anticipate and grow it just a little bit, and we always miss. We're always a little short on what our anticipation is going to be. That was our first race to sell out this year.
And we've got a team relay event going on at BAL between the morning crew and the weekend warriors. We can't wait to see it. And I think that's one of the storylines that has developed. There are a lot of organizations, a lot of businesses, a lot of communities that have the fun of a competition.
That's right. And I know Dan Jarris is out there right now.
He's running the anchor leg.
All right.
He's our general manager. He always wanted to be an anchor, so he gets to be an anchor today.
I have to ask you about the start times. Because of the Orioles, it was a great problem to have. Everything got moved back up an hour earlier. It seems like it's maybe affecting the crowds, maybe people who are going to spectate but didn't know about it, weren't tuned in.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, there's been some mixed reviews on it. Some people like it, and some people obviously don't like it because it's tougher for fans to get down here, I think, more than anything. But a lot of the runners have given us positive feedback on it.
That's true. If you've trained to run 26 miles, you are going to show up. At least decides to start at 4 in the morning. So
creates a longer party for you in the celebration village.
Yeah, exactly.
So you did face a lot of challenges this year, and
we're watching Alex Wang make her way now across Lombard Street as she comes down to the final stretch in the women's marathon race. Alex Wang has had the lead, I believe, wire to wire in this. And I mentioned earlier, Lee, she had such a big lead. She stopped and took a bathroom break. I don't know that we've ever seen a champion do that before.
She's 23 years old. She's a Terp. She's Ellicott City. She went to high school there. And now that we watch this 23-year-old local kid, or woman ready to cross in the women's race, what does this say to you about what this race has become?
Well, it's obviously become a staple in the community, just like the Preakness, and that was always the vision, that this would become the Preakness of the fall. And I think we've accomplished that. There's so many good things about the event. $40 million of economic impact, $1 million for charity. What's not to like about it? And look, you guys delivered on the weather again.
You're getting choked up.
The chief, Tom T, came through on that.
No, I'm not.
I'm getting choked
I'm happy.
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry.
Lee, we've seen that this event evolve in the last 2 years since it has not been a sponsored event. I thought 2 years ago that might be the demise of this. Instead, it's helping to evolve into an event that I think people in this area are actually getting more into because the champions are from Baltimore. They're from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. We're talking about a former Terp. How has that actually helped this event as we watch Alex Wang approach the final 0.2 of a mile in her victory race?
Sure. Well, people from Baltimore are stronger than dirt, Jerry, and this is proof. And you know what? They really have come out to support this event. And you know what? I don't think it's going to be very long before we name a title sponsor. There's been people talking to us, and we're hoping to get that title sponsorship back. But clearly, we can do without it if we have to.
And let me tell you, her goal today is to break a 3-hour marathon, and she might do that. She doesn't have very far to go.
She has about 1/10 of a mile left. She'll come out of Utah Street onto Ravens Walk. And the crowd starting to see that this is the young lady who is going to win the women's marathon. So a new winner in the men's marathon, a new winner in the women's marathon. And Lee, if there's a tougher act in all of sports than being a repeat champion in a marathon, I don't know what is.
Yeah, that was tough for Dave today. I saw him at mile 13. He was really laboring.
And she is one of those kids who grew up with the Baltimore Marathon, just a thing that happens in Baltimore. She's been watching, she's 23, she's been watching this since she was 9. I wonder how long this has been a goal of hers.
So she has made the full spectrum from the fun run to the one who can run the fastest.
That's right.
Same finish line, different challenge, and Alex Wang, who does not look at all fatigued, is coming down to the final couple hundred yards now. They have stretched the finish line. The banner awaiting her at the finish line. Alex Wang waving the flag as she crosses the finish line as the women's champion of the 2014 Baltimore Marathon. All smiles for the former Terp as she is first across the line on the ladies' race.
And I don't have the official finish time yet, but it looks like she may have set a new personal best.
That's impressive. Look at her.
We'll talk
That is
with
pretty
Alex.
neat. She may have hit for the cycle, like you said. She might, when the kids run, the 5K, the half, and now the full.
We'll find out when we come back and talk with the women's winner today of the 2014 Baltimore Marathon.